Lydia Miljan is standing by, political analyst. She is joining us today from Windsor, Ontario. Lydia, good to see you. Oh boy, help us make sense of this. What do you think about what's going on in Ottawa and beyond?
Oh my, like, is it just Tuesday? Like, I felt like I've aged a year in one day. It has been quite the ride, and it doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon. We have, I've counted, I think it's 9 cabinet ministers who have announced that they're not seeking election or they're stepped down for their position. We have the whole debacle yesterday with the finance minister referring to the current policies as gimmicks, and then you get the pile on with the opposition with, Pierre Poilievre calling it a clown show. I mean, it just adds on and on and on. I mean, this really does seem to be the end of days for this government, but yet the Prime Minister has not spoken to the public in any meaningful way. He's had his fundraiser last night, but he hasn't made any, hasn't had any press availability, hasn't really given his side of the story. So I think we just got to buckle up and wait for the next episode.
Yeah, I'm curious whether you think Trudeau stays or goes, Lydia, based on what you're seeing, what you're hearing.
My guess is that he's actually probably going to stay. I don't see him leaving. He's the fact that he went to caucus yesterday and, from the glimpses that we saw, seemed to be pretty confident. I mean, and the show he put on yesterday is like, I had a difficult day. And then he went on with his speech. The problem remains Jagmeet Singh. He still hasn't said that he's actually going to vote non-confidence. And that's the thing, right? As long as he has some sort of sweetheart deal that he can make with Jagmeet Singh, he can cling on to power as long as he wants. I mean, Jagmeet Singh's now saying Trudeau has to resign. But I don't understand why he isn't saying, I'm going to go with the other opposition parties, and the first chance we get, we are going to vote non-confidence. That would be the only way you could get Justin Trudeau to get off the throne and to actually resign and call for a leadership race. Failing that, I think he's going to stick it out as long as he can.
And possibly run in the next election as Liberal leader, you're saying?
Well, I guess that is a little bit further down the road. I mean, the fixed date is October. We still have a budget to get through. So most people have been handicapping it that the time that you would actually have the non-confidence vote to trigger the election would be in the spring. And so by that metric, yeah, absolutely, Justin Trudeau would be the leader. However, if Jagmeet Singh actually follows through with his claims today, and Justin Trudeau doesn't resign, well then it'll still be Justin Trudeau. The only way it's going to work is if somehow through the back channels Jagmeet Singh actually tells Trudeau, "You're out. We are going to vote non-confidence." Would he step aside, and then we'll have the leadership race, and it would be some other poor soul who would have to fight that election.
I wonder, what the path through this is for Trudeau. Is it sort of, look, it's mid to late December. This is all going to blow over. Parliament is rising as of today. Canadians are focused on the holidays. We can figure out this, palace drama. We can move beyond this. And January is a new year.
That's true. And, people have been, all happy after having their Christmas goodies and things like that. He's probably hoping that he can reconfigure his cabinet. I think that's going to be job one. If he can't, if he still has the support of his caucus and he still has the support of his cabinet, then he's got to give us a whole new cabinet, and he's got to sort of have a fresh face to this government. And I think that, given that he's got the holidays to do that, and they're not going to come back until end of January, that does give him quite a lot of time. And as well, we won't be hearing from all the politicians presumably over the next few weeks. So that does give him a bit of breathing room. But the problems still remain. I mean, it's out there. He's got Chrystia Freeland sitting at his back bench now, who has essentially said the government is full of gimmicks. We have a financial economic statement that has a 50% higher debt ratio than they promised in the spring. I mean, it's crazy times, right? And so at the same time, they want to give us more things for basically our children and grandchildren to pay for in the future. This is unsustainable. And I think Blanchette was quite correct today, saying that they don't have a mandate for this. And on top of all that, as if there's not enough to talk about. The fact is that they haven't done anything this entire fall session. The fall session was completely seized by the Conservatives, able to filibuster because the Liberals refused to produce the documents that Parliament asked. And so I don't know what they would be doing even with the new cabinet should they bring one in February. And so really it is up to Jagmeet Singh to say enough is enough.
One last question to do with something that Pierre Poilievre has said in the last 24 hours. He said, Trudeau called himself a feminist, but he threw his female finance minister under the bus. Maybe Mark Carney, who comes in, the former governor of the Bank of England, Bank of Canada. We've heard a lot of speculation, rumors about Mark Carney coming in. I wonder, is that real? Is that overblown? What do you think is going on there with the Carney factor?
I never understood the Carney factor because it was such an unusual thing to suggest that you'd have an unelected person sworn into cabinet. I mean, I don't understand how a finance minister could sit in cabinet and not have a seat in the House of Commons. I mean, we have a precedent where other prime ministers have had Senate appointees sit in cabinet. Well, we've never had a finance minister who hasn't had a seat in the House of Commons. So I don't even know how logistically that could have worked. And let's face it, it's not as if Carney could run in a by-election and win. I mean, last night they lost yet another so-called safe Liberal riding in Langley. I mean, the Liberals are completely unelectable. We've had a Toronto case, a Langley, Montreal. They are losing every single riding. So, I mean, over the course of time, if we have enough by-elections, I guess we could get a new government that way because the Liberals can't seem to have any electoral victory. So the Mark Carney thing, again, I don't know how they would have done it logistically, but it seems that that's off the table. We know that Dominic LeBlanc has now said he's in it for the long haul, however long that might be. But that's also unsustainable. You can't have a finance minister who has 3 other portfolios. We would hope that they're going to be focused on the budget, and that should be his only job, is how is he going to put together a spring budget rather than having to deal with the United States and the borders and all the rest of it. So this really is a government in disarray, and Trudeau has to either resign or get that cabinet in place so that he can at least indicate to Canadians that there's somebody doing something.
Yeah, Dominic LeBlanc, the minister of many portfolios now. We'll see how that plays out. Hey, Lydia, it's good to see you as always. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure, Todd.
Lydia Miljan in Windsor, Ontario.